going on, guys? Today I'm going to talk about something that I don't really understand why more producers aren't doing, which is sending voice messages to artists on Instagram. This is personally how I make a living off of selling beats online. So today I'm just going to give away all the information on it. I'm going to give away the cheat code for finding artists online, as well as how to script and deliver your voice messages, but also how to get your messages seen and heard. There's a lot of gems in this video that I'm going to get into, so let's jump into it.
I appreciate all the support. If you guys would like and comment and subscribe to the channel, then we'll get into the video.
So with voice messaging, it's really an interesting topic because most people are always trying to shoot DMs to artists, but they struggle to get their messages seen. They also struggle with the artist thinking that what they're sending them is spam. And even if they see your messages, they probably just dismiss them anyway. So I'm going to teach you guys how to avoid all of this, a few shortcuts, as well as techniques that I personally use day in and day out to get my messages seen and noticed by artists. And the main point that I want to make today is that with voice messages, it really allows you to connect with the artist so much faster. You're able to divulge a lot more information than sending a regular DM, as well as being able to plug the sale a lot faster. And I also have a secret weapon that allows me to really send a lot of these messages very, very quickly, so it doesn't take up a lot of time or energy to do this. The first one that I want to get into is where to find artists. And I really want to break this down because most people say to just jump to the hashtags. And this is actually a relevant strategy. I follow a few hashtags in my genre, which is R&B. And so I actually, just by following these hashtags on Instagram and scrolling up and down my feed, R&B artists will actually pop up and I'll be able to click their profiles and see if they're a match for my business and somebody that I want to hit up and connect with. So as an R&B producer, I will hit up hashtags like R&B songwriter, R&B artist, things like that. And if you build up a list of like 15, 20 different hashtags, then you can constantly have suggestions from Instagram of artists that you could potentially voice message. So that's the first way. The second way that I want to talk about, if your niche is in music and all the people that you follow are artists, sometimes Instagram will recommend ads to you from artists. These will be like visuals, music videos, or promotions for their upcoming releases. And so this is a great way to get in contact with artists. And so right now, Instagram is actually recommending them to me. And so whenever you swipe through 3 or 4 different stories, then Instagram will recommend an ad. And if it's music related, not something like plugins or drum kits or sample packs, it's actually an artist that is promoting their single or album or something like that, I'll go and click on their profile, swipe up and listen to their music and see if they're in the same genre as me or if it's somebody that I can really hit up and DM. So that's the second way, and it's pretty random. Instagram doesn't always recommend me posts that are music related. So this strategy is kind of hit and miss. The third way that you can find artists is through artist pages. So a lot of artists are always looking for places to promote their music. So if they're not running their own ads, then they're probably promoting on a music page. So this can be difficult starting out to find good artist pages that you can find quality artists on, but it's definitely worth doing because you can just turn on your post notifications and potentially find new artists whenever they post. Since I'm in the R&B genre, I really just found one R&B page. And so whenever you follow the artist page, there's a tab beside the follow button where you can click that tab. It'll drop down a list of similar accounts that you can follow. And so I did this and I was able to find probably about 10, 15 more R&B pages that I was able to follow, turn on my post notifications, and I'll go through that entire page and look through and see what artists are putting out visuals. And those are artists that are probably investing a lot of money into their craft, so they have a budget for beats. The last way that I'm going to talk about might be a secret weapon to a few, and a lot of you guys might already know this way. So what I'll basically do is find an established producer. I'll look through their posts for artists that I can connect with. So I'll click through every single comment and see if they have artists under their profile name, and I will see if they're in my niche, and then I'll hit them up. And if you don't want to go through comments and you really want to get a lot more leads, then you can either go through all the people that like that particular post, or you can go through their follower list. And so this is something that takes up a lot of time, and it's something you might not want to do, but you can find a lot of leads that way. So basically I look through leads, I'll build up a list of about 50, and then I'll see if those artists are putting out quality music, if they're in my niche, and it's somebody that I genuinely mess with and want to connect with. So that's another point that I want to make. Don't be hitting up artists and telling them that you mess with their music or that you like their music when you really don't. That's dishonest, and that's not something that I recommend. I'm not telling you to go and spam artists. I'm telling you to actually connect and have real relationships with these artists and offer a product and service that you're proud of presenting. So that's the main point. Make sure you're producing quality beats. You're hitting up artists that you would really enjoy working with and connect with them. So I discussed all of the different ways that I find artists. Now I want to talk about how do you get your messages noticed? How do you avoid getting your messages left sitting in the request folder? So there's a couple of different ways to do this. The main way that I found is that you don't have to actually voice message them. If it's a larger account, maybe they're over 20,000 followers, maybe they just don't look at their messages often. Usually when you hit up a new account, you'll go into the request folder. And this is something that Instagram does to avoid the account getting overflooded with messages that are unwanted. So to avoid this, you can just go and see if they have a story posted. If they've posted a story recently, click on that and then you can reply to that story with a direct message. So what this does is it lets your message drop directly into the primary folder and avoid getting left in the request folder. So this is a really powerful way to connect with people. So what I'll do is I'll go and listen to their music, see if I like any, and if it's an artist I want to connect with, then I'll go and reply to their story and say something like, hey, I just listened to this song on Spotify, which is the service that I use. And I'll tell them what I enjoyed about that song. And I might leave one emoji, but I don't really overdo it because there's so many people out there spamming with DMs that it's very hard to stand out. So after I do that, I'll just wait until the artist responds. Usually they're very appreciative that I actually checked out their music and gave some feedback on it. And the positive side of that is now you can present your offer and start direct messaging them. I know this isn't voice messaging, but it definitely helps you stand out as a producer. And if you're actually checking out their music and you're giving real feedback on a song you enjoyed, then you're gonna have a strong start to that relationship with the artist. So I'm not gonna give away my exact script because I don't want everybody copying me. I do disclose my full script in my beat selling guide. If that's something you're interested in, you can grab that and see the exact words that I use in the template that I use for sending voice messages to artists to get sales. But I will basically give you guys a template for how to reach out to artists in a genuine way, in a way that gets their attention. So you always want to start off your messages with something that's valuable to the artist. So the thing that I found is that artists value those that listen to their music. So just like I said, I started off the DM when I replied to stories with checking out their music. I would do the exact same thing whenever I hit up an artist. I'll check out their music, I'll find a piece of their catalog that might not be a recent release, but it's something that I was really vibing with. And then I'll hit them up and say, hey, I really like this song. I enjoyed it, I listened to it, this one stood out to me, something like that. And the artist will generally be very appreciative that I took the time to listen to their catalog. So that's generally how I start the script. Then I move into telling them that I'm looking for artists to work with. And I'll give them some of my background. I'll tell them how many years I've been producing. And one thing that's very important to realize is that you need to figure out their release schedule. If they plan on dropping singles, if they plan on dropping an album or an EP, that's something that you need to know in order to give better service to the artist and be on the right page in order to maybe start a project. So that's something that I'm actually looking at changing my script, because my sales pitch is generally for trying to get them to buy a lease, but I want to restructure it in conjunction with my services for custom beats and exclusives. So I want to be able to add value that way. So that's something that I'm going to change in my script. But the first thing I do is I identify the release schedule and I try to plan around that. So after this, I will give them a sales offer, and it's not pushy at all. I'll let them know that if they decide not to purchase beats, that it's no big deal to me. But at the end of the day, I would like to work with them. So that's my offer. So that's something that you might want to do, is figure out what your offer is, figure out the best way to sell it, and then don't be pushy with it at all. Just make sure that it's natural, it flows, and it's just like a regular conversation. So that's the best cheat code that I can tell you, is to be as natural and personal as possible. And that's really what's going to open the doors into starting what is a relationship with the artist. So that's my main advice to you guys. One thing I want to talk about is segmentation and the importance of playlists. So this is how I get most of my sales. I will send them a BeatStars playlist of R&B beats that I've set aside. So I have like 70, probably 80 different beats now at this point in my R&B beats playlist. And so I'll let them know that I can send that over to them. And if they can't find what they're looking for, I can recommend them individual beats. But the main reason that I send a playlist is because artists can get overwhelmed when you send them like 6 or 7 links at a time. I know I definitely don't want somebody to pop into my DMs the first day and be sending like 5 or 6 different beats to me from an artist point of view. So make sure you're thinking like an artist and you're thinking from the perspective of somebody trying to sell something to you. How would that work, and what is the best approach for that person to make in order for you to be open to being sold to? So that's a big point that I want to make. Make sure that you're being personal with them and you're not being pushy and you're not forcing your work onto them. Don't push your work onto somebody that isn't excited to work with you, and make sure that you're not barraging them with a series of messages that at the end of the day, they probably won't open. But yeah, you definitely want to segment all of your beats. So I segment mine into a vibe playlist: pain, pop, trap, R&B, all of those different ones. So make sure you got your beats segmented the way that you need to. And then when you're hitting up a trap artist, you can make sure that you're only sending them trap beats and you're not sending them anything that they're gonna be confused as to why you're sending them that kind of beat. So make sure all your beats are segmented, and that's a really powerful way to share your beats in a way where artists will be open to listening to them, and hopefully your beats are good enough to where they just sell themselves. I know whenever I send them the playlist, I'll make sure that I point out, hey, you might like this beat that's in the playlist. And then they might have to scroll down 20 different beats to find that one. But when they find it and they'll see that I recommended them a good beat, then they'll probably be very open to purchasing from me because I put the time in to actually research the artist. So that's most of what I do with voice messaging. The one point that I want to make is you can really turn this into a full business and make it very professional. So the way that I be as professional as possible is I like to move them to a call. I like to get more information, and I like to get in contact with them with the best possible avenue to reach the artist. So what I do is I try to move them over to a call after they say that they're interested in my work, they're interested in working with me. Then I'll say, hey, would you want to set up a time to talk over music? I would love to hear your vision for music and really see what their needs are. And you want to hear their story, you want to hear their background on music. And it's great because it's not just a discovery call. You're actually getting a lot of information from them that is going to help strengthen the relationship. And because you're open to hearing about the artist's story, they're actually open to hearing something about you. This is the law of reciprocity. So whenever you give, something is going to be returned back to you. So make sure you're offering more value than you receive, and that'll come back to you. I make sure I listen to their story. I ask them questions on what kind of music they were into growing up. What is their vision for music in the next 3 years or so? If they plan on dropping music anytime soon, all of those different kinds of questions. And maybe they divulge some sensitive information in their artist journey. And that's something that gives us a better relationship. And because they trust me with that information, it gives us a really strong grounding to work together. So that's something that I love doing. I love getting on a little 5 to 10 minute call with the artist. And it can be hard to know what to say on a call. I know I just kind of figured it out by trial and error, but I did include that in my beat selling guide. The link's below if you want to check that out. But basically I include my templates for how to sell over the phone. I do this a lot and I really perfected it. And it's not like I'm somebody that's special. I'm an introvert. I don't really like talking to people over the phone, but it's gotten easy for me because I practiced it and repeated it over and over again until I got really good at it. So this is something anybody can do. Just make sure you hone your speaking skills and you present yourself as a professional. And you're gonna make mistakes, but over time, it's gonna get a lot simpler for you. And it's going to become easier and easier to sell over the phone until it doesn't even seem like a sales pitch at all. It just seems natural for you to give an offer and see if the artist is interested or not. Because really at the end of the day, you're not really concerned if the artist buys or not. You're concerned about how many offers can you make a day that's gonna turn into revenue for your business. So make sure you're giving a lot of offers. Sometimes you can jump on 3 to 5 phone calls in a day. It'll take you maybe 1 hour total, and that way you can connect with artists on a really deep level, and they might end up buying an exclusive from you, a custom beat from you, or better yet, be a lifetime customer. And I know this has happened to me several times. I've had artists that I've spoken to over the phone that have turned into customers that have bought beats from me over and over again for multiple years. So make sure that you're taking care of the people that you're reaching out to, and that can turn into a valuable relationship over time. So that's most of what I do with voice messaging, selling over the phone. And the last thing I want to talk about is make sure that you follow up. So I have an entire spreadsheet on Google Sheets that I list every single artist that I reach out to. So I'll put notes on the date that I reached out to them, as well as if they were interested in buying something, doing a project, or if they told me to reach out in a couple weeks. So I'll put this list together, and then after 3 or 4 weeks, I'll go back to it, see all the people that said they were gonna buy beats. And if they never got back in contact with me, then I'll simply follow up with them and ask if they're still interested in buying something, working together. And they might tell me that they have something going on. They might have some family issues that they need to resolve. And they might leave me on red, or they might not be interested anymore. So, and this is really a cheat code for selling a lot more beats, is following up with all of those artists. I know I make hundreds and hundreds of dollars every single month from following up with everybody that ever said they were interested in some beats from me. So make sure you're compiling all of that information into a spreadsheet where you can see when you reached out to the artist and what they were interested in, so you can follow up and see if they still want to pay for beats. So that's all for today's video. I hope this was helpful and informative. If it was, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like and comment on this video. It really helps me out. I know that over 70% of the people viewing my videos are still not subscribed, so Let's change that, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate all of the support so far. If you guys are looking for more help on defining a strategy to help you with your beat selling business, I do offer consultations, so there's a link below if you want to purchase a consultation and set one up. And I can make a personal plan for your business to help you succeed with selling beats, branding yourself, and being a professional at this. So I really look forward to helping more of you guys. If you need my beat selling guide, that's also in the link below. But I will see you guys in the next video.